Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're live. I'm in the studio, so get involved in all the chat and the comments. Going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. Obviously, the transfer window is open. We are in the middle of it, so we're going to be talking a lot about transfers. Could we be getting a new goalkeeper? What is happening with the striker situation? What's happening with the outgoings? When are we going to start selling players? We're going to get into all that, so make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. Look at that. We've got through 800,000. Next up, 900,000. Right. Loads of people in the chat. Good to see everyone in there. Good to see Brian Casey saying hello to everyone. BMW Racing 1974. Santa Notch is here. Real recognises real. Lee Elliott, Mick Holohan. There's a super chat as well from Reese. Morning, Jay. Morning, all. Where's Jay's Parker in this beautiful sun? Duncan Castle saying Mbeumo would prefer Spurs. Is he still as reliable? We'll get into that in a little while. First of all, though, I want to just to quickly answer your question. I'm not too worried about Mbeumo just yet. I think we're going to end up signing him. I'm not RTK, that's just what I think, but you may differ. We'll get involved in all that in a minute, though. Let's start with Emi Martinez. Says here, I think this is from Gimme Sport, Emi Martinez wants to leave Aston Villa. Initial contacts have taken place with Manchester United. Now, you might look and go, well, Gimme Sport, where's this coming from? But I think this is originating from Romano, who writes, and I think Gimme Sport have got to deal with him. It says, Martinez is planning to leave Aston Villa. He was emotional in the final game last season, and his exit remains a possibility, depending on the goalkeeper's domino this summer. Initial contacts took place, and the understanding is Martinez described as being world class. It's a weird way to word that, isn't it? Described as being world class by who? Would be open to joining Manchester United even without Champions League football, as he's ready for a new chapter in his career. Then I think there's a little bit more there. It says the real key point now will be Man United, as their strategy on goalkeepers depends on Onana. Martinez is currently waiting to see what happens with several clubs attentive to his case. Also says there, Martinez says yes to Man United move. I've spoken about Emi Martinez quite a few times because this story broke about 10 days ago now. It was on a Sunday. I remember having it on my Sunday news from my kitchen about Martinez coming to Old Trafford. Obviously, that would more or less mean that Andre Onana moves on. I doubt he'd be happy sort of playing second fiddle to Emi Martinez. My main concern with this isn't that I don't think Martinez is a better goalkeeper. He probably is. It's just, is it another goalkeeper who has one in him? Is it another risk? I don't know. Part of me feels like with Martinez, he's just a bit chaotic. And I feel like if we are going to move on from Onana, do we need someone who's a little bit more reliable? I've spoken about this a few times. I think with Martinez, you get a little bit of that, don't you? 1 minute he's all over the gaff, the next minute he's amazing. Same. And also, a lot of his best performances, it feels like on an international level. You look at his World Cup performance, obviously. Some of the saves he produced there against France, helping Argentina to lift that trophy was just phenomenal. But you can't always buy a player off what they do for the country. You have to look at what they do for the club as well. And I've seen a few times for Aston Villa where he's just been all over the place. And we saw that at Old Trafford where he obviously got himself sent off, more or less cost Aston Villa Champions League football. So bit of a kick in the teeth for them that he's done that and then he wants to leave. But we'll have to wait and see whether he ends up at Manchester United. There's still a lot of rumours and reports that actually Ruben Amorim is willing to stick with Andre Onana. Also, there's the sticking point of transfer fee. How much is he going to cost? What are his wages going to be? As of yet, United haven't moved anyone on. We're trying to get the Bryan Mbeumo deal, which I'm going to get to in a minute, over the line. But we should, according to a lot of reports, be able to do that without any sales. But once you get past that Mbeumo deal, after already signing Matheus Cunha, you need to sell some players. You need to move on Alejandro Garnacho, Antony, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho. And we haven't yet. Now, it's a long window. There's many weeks left in it. It could all still happen. But as of yet, how are Manchester United going to fund a new goalkeeper when the priority seems to be Bryan Mbeumo? We don't seem to have money past the Bryan Mbeumo money. There's just lots of ifs and buts and maybes. But get involved in the chat and let me know. Would you take Emi Martinez at Manchester United? Do you think that would be a step up from Andre Onana? Is it a big enough step up from Andre Onana? Sometimes, as United fans, or, just in general in football, it's like, well, he's an improvement. I get that. But is he enough of an improvement? If you change the goalkeeper at Manchester United, that's a big decision. Is Martinez enough of improvement? Is he reliable enough to warrant doing that? Because I hear this argument a lot of the time when we talk about bringing in a new striker. You go, no, well, he's an improvement on Rasmus Højlund. He'll get more than Højlund. You need to get someone who's not just going to get you more goals than Rasmus Højlund if you don't think Højlund's the one. You need someone who's going to be good enough for Manchester United. because you could get more goals than Rasmus Højlund and still not get enough goals. So let me know what you think. Phil Berry in the chat, Jordy Pillion in the chat, James Swinbanks in the chat. Steve M says, I think if we play quicker, more attacking football, it won't matter as much who the goalkeeper is. That's a point, that, because there's two sides to this. Part of me, right, feels that if we go out and we get Mbeumo done, if we were to go out and end up getting a striker, we've been linked with some strikers, which I'll get to in a minute. If we were to get a midfielder, because there's talk of us wanting a number 8, do you then feel like we do all that and yet don't improve a goalkeeper who's a bit of an issue? Is it almost like we're not wasting our time, but is it almost like, well, we should change the goalkeeper because we've improved the team so much that to still have a goalkeeper who's not that reliable would be a massive shame? Or, as Steve's saying, do you think actually, if we've improved the team, we could get away with having Onjo Onana in goal? It wouldn't be as bad. I think part of the issue you've had with Onana over the last 2 seasons is the amount of shots we concede and the amount of times we're under pressure. Let me know what you think. Yuken Farkov says, Martinez looks like he's starting to decline already, though. Villa fans were moaning about him all season. That is a great point. I made this point when we were first linked with him, that I've seen a lot of noise around Martinez. I think there was a game in particular that stands in my memory. I think it was at Stamford Bridge, where Villa fans were absolutely vilifying him. Pardon the pun. So, I don't know. Tamil says, we need goals, Jay. The lack of goals last season was very depressing. I agree with that. I mean, we need goals and we need to be better defensively and arguably better in goal. I'm torn with this one. If it was up to me, I'd probably stick with Onana. But I'm not 100% convinced. And it's okay to not be convinced. It's okay to change your mind as well. People seem to think you can't. You can. I think Onana has had 2 patchy seasons, and I don't think he kicked on last season, which was disappointing. There's a lot to like about Onjo Onana. I just worry. I do worry. I'm hoping that if we stick with him, he has a good start and we can sort of calm everyone down and go, okay, there's a goalkeeper here. Because we did see that in fits and starts last season. It's just if he has a ropey one, I think if he has a poor start to the season, let's say against Arsenal the opening day, he costs us a game, you're going to be looking at going, should we try and make a move? Because I think the window will still be open and bring someone else in. Because part of the problem with Onana is Bryan Mbeumo as backup ain't a number 1. Every time Bryan Mbeumo has had an opportunity to be the Manchester United goalkeeper, he's dropped a clanger almost every single time. I know he had a good game at the Emirates in the FA Cup. Even then, I think he had a ropey moment. You look at the Villa game I mentioned, he was lucky, really, wasn't he? That he didn't get... was it the goal got disallowed? Shouldn't have been, to be honest with you. It was a perfectly legitimate goal. The goalkeeper just made a mistake. You saw the one at Newcastle where he passed it to their player. It's just like Spurs, where he basically threw it into his own net at one point. I like Bryan Mbeumo, but come on, is he the quality you need? He's not exactly like Raymond van der Gaal or Sergio Romero when you've got one of these number 2s that every time he comes in, he's dead reliable. He's got one in him, and that is a massive issue. So... I don't know, man. The goalkeeping one is a weird one. Richard Porter says, feels like we are going through the stage like we did between Schmeichel and Edwin. Only difference is our team isn't as good anymore, so it is more painful. That is a very good point. You remember post Peter Schmeichel, you might not remember, you might be too young, but we went through all these goalkeepers where we had like Mark Bosnich, Fabian Barthez, who else was there? Massimo Tahibe, Tim Howard, Roy Carroll. We just went through all these goalkeepers. None of them really worked out the way we wanted to. So we got to Edwin van der Sar, who was just, for me, the best goalkeeper I've ever seen. And then it was, happy days. Edwin van der Sar was 35 as well when we signed him. He was at Fulham, bizarrely. After being at Ajax and Juve, he was ended up at Fulham. We got him, and the rest is history. He went on to break records, win Champions Leagues, win titles, and all the rest of it. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat. Brian Casey says, honestly, Jay, Martinez doesn't excite me at all. If he's the best available right now, stick with Onana, improve other areas of the squad, and go after a keeper next summer. Manchester Maverick says Andy Gorham. Yep, he was one of the ones we had as well. We did a poll. Is that poll still up, or was it? All right, sorry. Do we know? I can see the results of that poll. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I've just seen it. Forgive me. Should we sign Emi Martinez? We've done a poll. Yes, 53%. No, 46%. Almost 250 if you voted. See, that's the issue there, isn't it? You'd want it to be more emphatic than that. You'd want everyone to go, yes, get him. He's the guy. Massive improvement on Onana. And it feels like there's a split. Now, no, that's not exactly scientific, 247 people voting. But it gives you the idea that this isn't open and shut. He's definitely the answer to all our problems. There's every chance Emi Martinez comes in and we still have those issues we've had with Onjo Onana. We still have goals we're conceding we shouldn't be conceding. We still have a fractured relationship between the goalkeeper and the defence. You still feel the crowd on centre hooks every time the opposition break forward. Let me know what you think. I'd take him over Onana, definitely, says Dunk Yo. Kevin H says, if he was free, hell yeah, he'd be more than 10 million. I'd worry. Akash K says, Jay, I think the reason for split on Martinez is the fees being bandied about. I'd get Martinez, but not for 40 million. Yeah, 40 million for Emi Martinez. It does seem a little bit too excessive. I've been linked with a defender. United in pole position for defender. Manchester United are in pole position to sign Le Havre defender Aruna Sangante this summer, despite interest from other clubs, according to reports in France. This is obviously via the Evening News, coming via L'Equipe. Le Quotidien say that United are leading the race for the 23-year-old who could be available for a fee of around 7 million quid. They face competition from Nottingham Forest, Stuttgart, Augsburg, Sevilla and Marseille. Feels like Manchester United could do a deal like that for around 7 million quid for a defender. We did obviously bring in Aiden Heaven for 1 million quid. United are moneyballing it a little bit, feels with certain players. So I think you can supplement some of your squad where you're going to go for your big money players like your Bryan Mbeumo's and your Mateus Cunha's. Then you can bring in players that are a little bit cheaper. Me and Finn spoke about this the other day. He did a very good little mini list of potential youngsters we could go for. I like that idea. I don't know much about this kid. I'm not going to do some sort of half-baked scouting report on him right now. We'll maybe get into that a little bit later. But it makes sense if United are looking at young players or players that are around the sort of £1 to £20 million mark rather than just the 50, 60 million pound players, because we haven't got the money for that. And also we are going to plan for the future. Then maybe that's what we should be doing. Real recognises Real, going back to Martinez, says loads of Villa fans call Martinez a bozo. We already have one of those in Onana, the old bozo gene that Ronaldo Brown always mentions. Should we talk about Bryan Mbeumo? This is from the Evening Standard, I believe, looking at that font. Mbeumo does Man United U-turn. Manchester United remain confident of sealing a deal for Bryan Mbeumo, but a new update could have thrown a spanner in the works, with the Brentford star said to have done a U-turn on an Old Trafford move. The word all along has been that the player himself prefers a move to United, but journalist Duncan Castles has said on the Transfers podcast that Tottenham could now be viewed as a more attractive option for the 25-year-old. Should both teams submit offers worth 70 million, Brentford's reported asking price, I don't know why I went all, South Central LA there. It suggested that Spurs could win the battle thanks to the prospect on Champions League football and reunited with Thomas Frank. Bit wishy-washy that. Duncan Castles gets a lot of stick. I've met Duncan, we had him on Full Time Devils. He's a good guy, I liked him, but I don't always hang my hat on stories that he runs, and it feels more opinionated than factual. I don't think Spurs are going to pay 70 million quid for him. I don't think Manchester United will. And I like Bryan Mbeumo, but I don't think we should be paying 70 million quid for a player that's technically got a year left on his deal, even though they've got an option for another year. Obviously wants to come to Manchester United. We've made a bid of 45 million plus 10 million add-ons. I've been saying all along, I think we're going to be looking at around 52 million, maybe 55 million plus 10 million add-ons to get that deal done. I think that's what it's going to take, and I think that's what will happen. We are going to get more on this. Next week, if it's not done on Monday, we'll get a few more journalists in and we'll try and get a little bit more movement, a little bit more info on just what is happening there. It does feel like this is going to happen. I'm not panicking just yet. It's what are we on now? The 20th of June. So we're 20 days into the transfer window and we had a week off. It's not panic stations just yet. It's just frustrating as a fan when you link with a player you know, a player you want, a player who scores goals, a player that would do a massive, job for Manchester United, would absolutely improve this team. It does get a little bit annoying when there's not much happening and you're sort of waiting for the Here We Go or the David Ornstein exclusive. We haven't got that yet, but I don't quite feel like we're at panic stations where we should all be losing our minds because it's the 20th of June and we haven't signed Bryan Mbeumo. That deal feels like it will happen, but we'll wait and see. Stephanie Griffiths in the chat as well. Chris Johnson Adventure says, if Man United, everyone puts prices up, got to get used to it whoever we sign. That's true. It feels like Brentford are trying to generate a little bit of a bidding war maybe with Spurs. They did a post, Brentford can do what they want, he's their player, but they did a post, didn't they, about all these Premier League goals. There's talk that Brentford are trying to sort of out, maybe Thomas Frank wants him, all that sort of jazz. I don't think he's going to go to Spurs. I don't think the interest there is quite as concrete as some have claimed. I don't think it was right. I think Darren Lewis got it wrong. I like Darren Lewis, he's a top guy. But I don't think Spurs did put a bid in of 70 million quid as was being claimed in the Mirror. So I'm sceptical that U-turn is real. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford, Real Madrid. Manchester United make Real Madrid offer a 40 million Marcus Rashford transfer solution. Loads of inverted commas there. Manchester United have reportedly made an approach to Real Madrid over the future of Marcus Rashford. The forward looks set to move for United this summer. We know all that. He's not going back to Aston Villa. Barcelona seems to be Rashford's preferred destination, with reports claiming that he's willing to take a pay cut to make the move happen. That move is, however, now in doubt, with the Catalan club reportedly close to signing Nico Williams. It does feel like that's going to get over the line any second. It seems that United may also have doubts over sanctioning a move to the Camp Nou this summer. According to Defensa Central, never heard of him, previous financial problems at Barcelona have caused worry at United, or at Old Trafford, that the club may not be able to pay the requested 40 million in a timely manner. As a solution, United have offered rivals Real Madrid the chance to sign Rashford. New boss Xabi Alonso is on the lookout for a new striker this summer as a direct replacement for Joselu. The report goes on to say that Real Madrid have already analysed how Rashford could fit into the team, have come to the conclusion that he doesn't fit the profile that the club wants. It is added that the 40 million transfer fee exceeded the budget set by the club this summer, with the transfer for Rashford therefore being described as an increasingly remote option. He's not going to Real Madrid, right? That 200 words, whatever it was, that I just read out, basically said he ain't going to Madrid. You may as well do a story saying Jay Motti's not going to Madrid. Like, it's just not happening. This whole thing of United want him to go to Madrid, well, we don't, because he ain't going there, we know that. Real Madrid don't want him. We're not looking to sell him to Real Madrid. We're looking to sell him, but we're not looking, targeting Real Madrid, going, we need to get him to Real Madrid. We need to get him to the Bernabeu. It's just one of those nonsensical, meaningless stories. My job is to tell you what has been reported, though, in case you're wondering why we've even read it. Marcus Rashford go to Real Madrid, you might see that happening on your timelines and stuff. It ain't happening. Of all the stories that isn't going to happen, that one isn't going to happen the most. Let's talk about Jonathan David. Jonathan David is just the answer to all our problems, innit? He's free, he scores goals, just get him. Is it going to happen? No. Manchester United appear to have withdrawn interest in Lille's prolific striker, Jonathan David, according to Corriere dello Sport. Mint. It ain't happening. There we go. United had initially explored a potential move. However, the Red Devils have now paused their pursuit, opting to pursue other attacking options as their summer rebuild gathers pace. So we ain't getting Jonathan David. It felt like that could have worked, didn't it? Free transfer, he's got a good pedigree, scores loads of goals. However, it didn't feel like there was many report stories indicating United were fully in for him. It felt more fan-driven, and it's all gone south. Marley says Rashford's PR team are desperately trying to build interest hype. Adam Kenny says we should have gone in for him, meaning Jonathan David. Yeah, I would have had him. Brian Casey says surely it's a no-brainer to go for him. Low cost, low risk, optional. Stephanie Griffiths, 1,200 watching, not even 200 likes. Good shout, good point. Sorry, Steve M. Is David any good? Even any good? Sorry, I think he is. He's one of those players. He's not amazing, but he gets goals. And he's got goals pretty consistently. I think he scored 20 plus goals last 3 seasons, is it? So you'd think he'd be able to get you some goals. And I think the attractive thing about Jonathan David is the fact he's a free transfer, but you don't know what the wages are going to look like. And it's all a moot point because Manchester United don't even look like we're in for him. Let's talk about another striker. This is coming from Graham Bailey. Obviously, this is the Stretford Paddock tweet there. It says Manchester United are showing interest in striker Tolu Arokodare. Graham Bailey at 6'6" with 23 goals in 45 games for Genk last season. Could his €80 million price tag be just the thing United are looking for? Am I right in thinking this is the Nigerian lad? I think he's got about 4 caps for Nigeria, scored a goal. United in Focus did a piece on it as well. I wouldn't be surprised if United were looking for cheaper options. I don't know. Is that going to work? If you get a striker like that, 17 goals in the Belgian Pro League last season, 30 games, is it another risk? Is it someone who's on the cusp of maybe doing something? Is it worth taking a punt if you can get him for a reasonable price? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. He's had spells in Germany, France and Latvia. That's quite a colourful career so far. He wears the number 99 shirt, obviously in recognition of what happened in 1999. Fair play to him. Absolute balling United fan who remembers the treble season well, even though he wasn't born. So we'll see. We'll file that under keep an eye on. We'll keep an eye on it, and if anything happens, we'll let you know, obviously. Carl in the chat, in the super chat, with just a super chat with nothing on it. Michael Felton says, morning, Jay. Ute Hube says they score a goal every 3 games and are priced at 80 million. Yeah, that's kind of what happens. Finally, Bruno Fernandez has been nominated for the PFA Player of the Year. The top 6 chosen by the players. If you're moaning about this, right, just shut up. The players chose it. So if anyone's going, well, it's Bruno, United finished 15th and Bruno Fernandez has been nominated. It's not a conspiracy. It's other players who played against him going, he was mint. He's one of the best players in the league. And also, look at what he did in a pretty poor Manchester United team. So it's Bruno Fernandez, Alexander Isak, Alex McAllister, Cole Palmer, Declan Rice and Mohamed Salah. The other 5 are all rubbish. Bruno Fernandez should win that easily. And if he doesn't, it's an absolute stitch-up. I'm going to leave it there. We're going to be back later on today with Off the Bar. Me, Joe, Howson, McCullough. Again, we're like buses. You wait ages for content with all 4 of us. Come along, and then 2 come along in 2 days. Make sure you're hitting like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to give us a like as well. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. I've been Jay Motti. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.